about the industry research trust factor. So I'd like to ask Dr. Lakshmi, who deals in intellectual property, and what is the role of intellectual property protection, and what should an academic university be doing? Because industry monetizes, they have a plan that if they have a patent portfolio, they can leverage that in their future mission or to achieve the goal. Um, what is the idea of a university trying to file patents? And because we don't have a mechanism of maybe monetizing it unless we generate startups, right? So what does it mean for a department to start looking at patents? Maybe Dr. Lakshmi can throw some light on that.
Sure, sir. Definitely, filing of patents is a must for the faculty because, for various reasons. First of all, of course, publications is a part of public domain you are putting it. But if you want to monetize, first take a IP and then go ahead. Monetization, I think in Professor Tyagi's address, I have seen that you are planning to have a project management team. You need to strengthen that for monetization. So possibly you can have models like a TOT model, transfer of technology. So I'm sure down the line, when if you are building products or processes, if you are patented, you could also do a transfer of technology. And of course, monetization is again now because of the standardization. Now, if we talk about 5G and 6G, we cannot do it alone. So we need to work as a team. As a whole country, we need to work as a team, and we should generate more of standard essential patents and make sure that it is very country specific. And I am sure all of us should align to the IPR policy of the Indian context and ensure that our IPRs are monetized at least in the Indian context. So, and also the publicity for the IPRs which we have filed is very, very important. Um, that is, I feel, maybe lacking. That kind of, I'm sure, again, the publicity cell is very, very important. And many a time, industry is looking for some of the patents from where they can take off rather than reinvent the wheel. Many a time, we are not aware what is available. So that is the that's been I've been observing that for many years. We keep trying to dig and find out what is available and try to do. So monetization always need not be the thing. Monetization could be indirect by either startups, or it could be by transfer of technology, or you could license it to somebody, or you can, when you have collaborations with industry, definitely you can share the intellectual property or a joint property and things like that. So definitely monetization should not be the real goal. You should have a lot of intellectual property, because many of time now, at least all the companies are what do you say, they are tested by the type of IPRs they have. We may not have all the IPRs, may not the kind of monetization that happens is only 5%, but at least we could pool some things, and we could pool across the um, IISc itself or between the professors, and as a pool they could go ahead and monetize it. That is what I can say, and any other further questions I can answer.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think I'd like to move to another very important aspect of the department activities, which is teaching, and the way we try to shape our courses and how we teaching, and of course the research, that is the students. So I'd like to go to Dr. Alok Nath and ask him, as a student of the master's program here in ECE, you must have got exposed to different topics and courses. How useful were they in your future endeavor? Especially, you went on to do your PhD and then you joined industry. And what is it that you are seeing is the profile of smart people entering industry now compared to what they were maybe 10 years back? And so what is your take on the education, undergraduate education system? Because that is the pool from which we sort of take students, both they go to you as well as they come to us. So what is it that you think should be done in terms of the educational part of the department's activities?
I think, since I studied also in IIT, and there the focus was much more on undergraduate. One of the reasons that I joined IISc, as I mentioned, is, the bringing the research component, because I was quite clear. Now, obviously, it also depends on how you spend your next 5 years, 10 years in industry, and that also shapes up. But just going back to IISc, I have enjoyed every day of my stay. It's a very memorable experience. Uh, the teachers, I mean, from the standpoint of bringing the fundamentals, because in bachelor and masters, I think it is all about bringing fundamentals up. We have been very much benefited, and IISc having this research capability and a lot of good publications. I think the faculties that we have had is the teaching, but it's a research-led teaching, right? And that's what we see in MIT and Stanford and Harvard and all of these big places. And IISc belongs to that category. I mean, obviously it's a national pride, but I consider IISc to be an international institute. I mean, your citations in the recent citations per faculty getting 100 and being top ranking, it doesn't come just like that. On one hand, we can criticize and discuss how to make it better, but fundamentally it is very, very strong. So to me, that has been there. But what has changed in the world, and probably we need to catch up in that context, that earlier it used to be only big industries. For my time, Bharat Electronics or Wipro, these were the companies that were big and they were our dream companies. But now, present day students, as they come up, they are joining startups. They are entrepreneurial mindset. So things have changed. It's not about IISc, but the world around has changed a lot. And the disruptions that used to come only 5 years, 10 years, only Bell Labs could do it. Now you don't know who is going to make it. That guy might be a 3-member team, 10-member team. Nobody knows about them. And suddenly they pop up. That's how Uber came. That's how, Airbnb and many others, many platforms that are coming up is a disrupted platform. And it can, attack even for industries who are continually doing research and growing into that direction. For us also, it is challenging and we have to scan every time. So I think what I'm trying to highlight is, with this world changing quite a lot, a kind of sensing for each of the organizations, whether it is academia or industry, is very, very important. And from that sensing, being able to filter that we need to steer towards this direction. This part of it is very, very vital. And once we decide that there are 5 things that are coming, and I would like to go into this direction. I think what we talked about metrics, Professor Anurag Kumar talked about not just quantity, but how else you change the metrics, how do you make it team-based and things like that. We will start to align towards that. So this is one point. The other point that I benefited and I would like to reiterate again in today's discussion is that since I had the EC background, I took half of the course from computer science. That's how I learned from Narari, and then Professor P.S. Sastry, Professor L.M. Patnaik. So 50%, that time was Pascal and COBOL, and those were coming up. And we learned a lot by bringing how to do programming for communication, right? That was the need then. So today, I think when we talk about ECS and interdisciplinary program like blockchain coming, this is a distributed systems, IoT. If we can bring the elements of ECE and CS and call it like a program, then that adds up to a lot. I mean, it is not a very big work on the faculties. They are fundamentally still doing it, but the wrapper or the vision that is there can alter significantly for students, those who would be growing and joining, because they need the buzzword also. They need to get jobs. We can say something, but they need to show that I'm working in 6G, I'm working, and that's fair enough, right? That's the industry wants. So I would like to say these 2 points, that continual scanning and select and focus, and every metrics, recruitment, students, faculty in the cohesive directions, and leveraging whether it is past in a department or the bigger gamuts that is there in ECS or even bio and electronics being combined. We should leverage, because Indian Institute of Science is poised to do that. And the last point I wanted to highlight is that even though, there would be a lot of national programs and national relevance, we should bring it. Organization like us, we are delivering like 80%, 90% for global, but through that 10% what we bring for India becomes very powerful. So the same way IISc is an international institute, it must do global highest level of research and excellence. And in that process, by defining right program, I'm sure it can bring national relevance also. That's fine.
Thank you, Alok. I will pose a similar question to Dr. Lakshmi from a publicly funded industry, I would say, CDOT. What is it that you expect from an academic program from a university for your own inputs?
Basically, we have programs which are driven by the government. Say, for example, the 5G, 4G are in the cyber security programs and a lot of security programs. What we are looking for is we already have some experienced professionals, and we also recruit young engineers. So sometimes we have a gap and we want to take off from a higher level. That's when we look at department, EC department, or any of the academic institutions, if they could help us to fill that gap. So it could be a product development, which could be scaled at a later point of time. That's another gap we are finding. Even if a product is developed, whether it is scalable or not, that is where we fail many times. So that is another one part of it when we are looking for. And typically we expect not that we are very fast. A typical speed is required, but many a time it is felt that academia, if we give anything, it is very slow. So that is one part which, if it is addressed and we work like with a target oriented or goal oriented, that would be great. And I'm sure with the Department of Business Management in IISc, I think you could also leverage their help in order to make better business opportunities. And we also would know more of applications. Like if you ask, I'm sure even in antenna, in fact, when we are developing a lot of access networks, in fact, we are developing base stations. Many a time the issue is people can come and help us out with, they can make their hands this one, but the issue is getting the components, getting the hardware is very, very, very tough these days. If most of the people, if they're working on software part alone, it is very difficult. And from EC, we expect something which is very tangible in respect of hardware. That is what is my take.
Okay, thank you. So we have received a few comments in the chat box, and I would like Professor Narahari to respond to one of them. This is from Professor Ramachallappa. He says that ECE could expand its activities in analytical aspects of machine learning and AI, given the background in estimation theory, information theory, random process mathematical statistics. So this is an input he has provided that it could be. So what is it that would you like to respond, Professor Narahari, about how we could maybe shape our course programs, or how do we, or reach out, maybe be a leader in this angle of AI ML instead of just presenting or doing programming? Professor Narhari?
Yes, I was on mute. I think very well said by Professor Chalappa. I think the theoretical aspects of AI/ML, I think ECE is best positioned to not only work on those, but also be able to teach some of those foundations to the students. I would like to cite the example of the MTech AI program here. The reason I would like to cite it is that AI/ML, I feel, is best served by a blend of ECE, computer science, electrical engineering, and so on. I would consider starting off MTech AI as one of the best decisions taken by Professor Anurag Kumar. I would like to still remember the day when he called the chairpersons of all the EECS departments and gave no choice to the chairs. He simply said, you are starting an MTech AI program. That was an executive decision. And that's one of the fantastic decisions that Anurag took. And this way, all the 4 departments were able to come together. And now, this program is really blossoming very well. And I find that AI/ML as an area, both the theoretical side of it and also the practical side of it, is something that touches all the departments in the division. And the students must be really well equipped in these. AI/ML itself as a discipline, I think, has several layers to it. At the very first layer, you have the foundations that Professor Ramachalappa is talking about. It could be linear algebra, it could be probability, statistics, optimization, and all the foundations. And then at the next layer of AI/ML, you have all the algorithms and techniques which will use these foundations to come up with scalable algorithms. And then at the next layer, you have the computational platforms, because the algorithms have to be run on computational platforms, and scalable computational platforms will come at the next layer. And finally, you have all these wonderful transformative applications of AI/ML. And I think ECE in particular and EECS in general, I think they're very well positioned to teach all these aspects of AI/ML. And foundations of AI/ML certainly will be very important for the students. Having said that, I also would like to add the following. Student recruitment is a very important job for the institute, and ECE must scale up in terms of both the quantity and the quality of the students who are coming into the department. Because if we have high quality students in good numbers, then you can do lots of wonderful things with them. And I feel that we should think of very innovative ways in which we can challenge the good students that come to ECE. And I have found that whether it is an MTech student or a PhD student, they belong to different groups. One group of students are the ones, who would like to get a very good deep tech job, and they do not want to continue for PhD and so on. There is another set of people, who are very well motivated to do a PhD program, and these are the ones who may become future professors and so on. There is also another category of students, who would like to go the startup space. They may like to have their own startups and so on. It is very important for the department to find out what kind of a student a given person is, and be able to tune the training of the student to where the student will be able to blossom in the best possible way. And of course, in all this, teaching the foundations and fundamentals plays a very, very important role. And whatever Professor Ramachalappa is saying, I think